Presiding Officer, as the committee has discussed, the bill can rightly be seen as the scaffolding that supports a range of different education reform, all of which builds on evidence, including findings from the OECD and Professor Muir. And of course, there are a number of non-legislative reforms which are already moving forward, including, for example, the curriculum improvement cycle. And furthermore, I also want to see more opportunities for Scotland's teachers to develop their own practice, drawing on best research. That is why we are establishing the Centre for Teaching Excellence, working closely with teachers and national education organisations. And I'm delighted to say that through a competitive process, we have now identified the University of Glasgow as the host institution. I'm very grateful to other institutions who came forward with an interest, showing the world-class strength of our academic institutions across Scotland. And it's very fitting that the new centre will be based in Glasgow, which was announced as UNESCO's new learning city earlier this month. We will now work with the university to take forward the establishment of the centre so that we can, at pace, offer those important opportunities to Scotland's teachers. Presiding Officer, the way the new qualifications body works with schools needs to feel different for teachers. So to support this, I've committed to seconding a secondary head teacher into Qualifications Scotland. This head teacher will lead a dedicated schools unit within the organisation. Working closely with teachers and pupils in secondary schools, they will help support qualifications delivery. The post will be advertised in the new year, and I would strongly encourage interested secondary head teachers from across Scotland to apply. The establishment of Qualifications Scotland and the Office of His Majesty's Chief Inspector of Education is fundamentally about improving pupil and learner outcomes and supporting our teachers. For too long, our national education bodies have been distant from those that they serve. Too often they are perceived as being an impediment to delivering excellent teaching, or worse, in lacking credibility with the profession. So for credibility to be restored, pupils and teachers must be at the heart of decision-making. That is exactly what this bill intends to do. For Qualifications Scotland, the new requirement for the board to include practising teachers and a person with knowledge of the interests of those undertaking qualifications will provide greater diversity and challenge. The creation of the learner and teacher charters developed with those who use our education system will further provide greater transparency and accountability by providing the opportunity for greater involvement in decisions that affect and impact education. The bill enshrines the independence of inspection and moves the balance of power from ministers to the inspectorate. And while significant, this will not be unfamiliar territory for many of Scotland's teachers. However, the move will increase public confidence in the independence of inspection and, perhaps most importantly, ensure that the strengths and challenges identified really drive improvement. Presiding Officer, the ways in which our schools are inspected also require to be updated post-pandemic, and with the last iteration of How Good is Our School being published back in 2015, the need for change is clear. Work to refresh the framework for school inspections has already begun, with significant engagement including with teachers, local authorities, parents and carers, as well as children and young people themselves at the heart of that process. The bill builds on that and will establish an advisory council, bringing in wider perspectives while maintaining the crucial independence of inspection. And I have listened to views from stakeholders and members of the committee that the bill should be further strengthened. Further, I have responded to the recommendations raised by the Education Committee in their Stage 1 report. I agree that the bill provisions need to deliver the necessary separation between the awarding and accreditation functions of Qualifications Scotland, delivering transparency, integrity and fairness. That specific governance and accountability provision set out in the bill includes the new requirement for ministers to appoint a convener for the Accreditation Committee, although, as I intimated to Ms Duncan Glancy, I am open to looking again at how we can further strengthen that provision. The convener, of course, will have a new and a direct advisory relationship with ministers, along with new commitments for separate accountability and reporting. And I know that some members and stakeholders think we need to go further. That's also why I've commissioned the chair of the SQA to advise how to deliver greater administrative separation between the two functions within Qualifications Scotland.